Welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is May 27th once again when I'm recording this, which means that this is the second podcast I've done today. I just finished watching Night 9 of the Best of the Super Juniors. I'm Pat, and I'm your New Japan, representative for the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. I've been covering the whole tournament. There's now a playlist on this channel, so if this is your first time listening and you want to hear the rest of our coverage, we have reviews for every night since, as well as a whole preview prediction thing. There's a whole playlist put together. I believe it's the top one listed on our channel. This video is a part of it, so you can check it out. You can catch up on all the nights. I give my personal thoughts on each match. I'm giving match recommendations for what you should watch if you're just looking for the highlights, and so on and so forth. Be sure, if you are watching the tournament, to comment down below. Let me know what matches you've really been enjoying, who's your MVP of the tournament. Interact with us. That's what we want from this. So be sure to do that if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, head over to our YouTube and do that. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just hit 130 subscribers, so 20 more to 150. So if you want to help us get there, we'd really appreciate it. You can also subscribe to our podcast where you get all these episodes plus more. On Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Apple, Google Play, whatever. We're on basically every place where podcasts are streaming, so you can find us. Just look up the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling. There's no G at the end, just Deep Six Wrestling, and you'll find us. It's just the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. If you just search that, you should find us anyway. All right, that's pretty much everything. If you listen to my review for Night 8, I went over the Kota Ibushi press conference that New Japan held, where it was announced that he will be staying with the company, where Obari and Kadani offered their sincerest apologies to Kota Ibushi for everything that happened and how it went down. So if you want to hear the full rundown, I've read Obari's full statement and gave my thoughts on it. Go back to our review for Night 8 of the Best of the Super Juniors, and the first 10 minutes or so of that podcast is dedicated just to that. So, we're not skipping over it, it's just on the previous one. But that is something that happened today, since it is still the 27th. Before we get into Best of the Super Juniors, just a rundown on the rest of the schedule, because Jesus Christ, this is all getting hectic. So, this is my last podcast for the day. Ryan and Angelo are currently in the midst of recording the Impact Wrestling Power Hour, so if you are an Impact Wrestling fan, we will have our Impact review out probably later tonight or sometime on Saturday. I'll probably schedule it for Saturday, just so it's not too much coming out all on the same day. Saturday we'll also have our predictions for AEW Double or Nothing coming out, as well as possibly more for the Best of the Super Juniors. I have a very busy weekend, so we'll see if I fall behind on Best of the Super Juniors or if I can manage to keep up with it. Then Sunday, more Best of the Super Juniors and Double or Nothing. I already know I probably won't be able to do a review for Best of the Super Juniors on Sunday, just because I am going out beforehand with my significant other. So we're going to the zoo and the beach, so I will most likely not be getting... That'll be night 11 for Best of the Super Juniors. That will definitely not be coming out on Sunday. That'll be probably Monday, so we'll see, but I'm not going to stop doing reviews for Best of the Super Juniors in the middle of the tournament. They will come. It might be a little bit delayed, so just bear with me. And then Monday we will have our review out for Double or Nothing. Things will come. There might just be some hiccups or delays, but they will all still be released. But that's what's coming up, so don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, to the YouTube channel, whatever. All right, then we have Best of the Super Juniors Night 9, so that's what we're talking about today. So we're going to get into it. I got my notes here, and I have the updated standings for the end, as well as our updated predictions, because as was talked about in the last episode of the podcast, we forgot to submit our predictions for Night 9, so we do have those. Kicking things off tonight, we had Master Watto versus Teton. This was the battle of the 2-pointers, with Watto and Teton both being on the verge of elimination. And we got a handshake to start here. Big springboard arm drag from Teton, but Watto cartwheels out of it. Teton then does his own cartwheel as both guys show off big time for the crowd here. We got a Pele kick in the corner from Teton, lifting Watto off the top rope and spinning him around the ring, dropping him face first on his knees for a 2 count. This is pretty inventive. I like this. He then hit a big running quarter clothesline through the ropes, which is, again, this thing looks so good. It looks dangerous, but it looks so good. And then he goes high for his double stomp, but he misses. Watto capitalized with his own high-angle German suplex for a 2 count. We have a springboard upper count that actually lands from Watto and follows up with Recitamente for a 2 count. Big strikes get unloaded from Teton here, who goes for a thrust kick but gets blocked. Watto hits his own and then lands the Tenzan Tombstone Driver, and Watto goes up top. Commentary notes that they don't know if this is going to work, but he hits RPP successfully and he lands it. Master Watto wins and he moves to 4 points, with Teton still sitting at 2, who is now mathematically eliminated. But Master Watto, he still could technically make it. But Teton now sits at 2 and is our first elimination from the Best of the Super Juniors. I thought it was a pretty fun little opener. Nothing too spectacular, but I thought it was a fun time. Doki versus TJP. TJP immediately gets hot here and tries to use a chair but gets sent to the floor. Doki then uses the chair to set up for a dive over the top rope, but TJP comes in and jumps off of it, taking Doki down as the two go outside then onto the apron, and Doki drops him with a DDT on the apron head first. We have Doki hitting a big plancha to the floor. The chair again once more, with TJP getting sat down on it. Doki dives out with a suicide dive, wiping himself and TJP out. This looked nice. Doki catches TJP in like a gory bomb position, but TJP gets out and then gets nailed with an enziguri before firing back with his own springboard forearm for a 2 count. Then we have Doki. I don't know what this move's called, I'm going to be honest, but he does whatever this gory bomb style thing is. And then for a 2 count, and then goes for suplex de la Luna, but TJP rolls through and tries to lock in the Pinoy stretch. Doki locks in the Doki Choki, but TJP immediately gets to the ropes. TJP then gets up top and goes for the Mamba Splash, but Doki catches him with the Doki Choki. This was a really good catch. But TJP then steps over and gets into the Pinoy stretch, and he taps him out. TJP wins. I thought these two had pretty good chemistry. I think both guys are still having, like, performance-wise in ring. Both guys are having a very strong tournament. This leaves Doki sitting at 6 points, but TJP now ties him, also at 6 points. Both guys are 3-3. After this, we went to Kanemaru versus Clark Connors. Pretty early on, the trophy kill gets countered, with Kanemaru rolling Clark up for a close 2 count. It's basically, this is a lot of the offense from Kanemaru here, just going for roll-ups to try and get quick wins. He goes up top for the deep impact, but Connors catches him, holds him in the air, and lifts him, looking for like a vertical suplex, but Kanemaru flips out of it. A big pounce from Clark to break Kanemaru's control here. More roll-ups from Kanemaru. We have one for a 2 count, but he then gets out and walks into a power slam from Clark. Clark goes for a trophy kill, but it gets blocked again as Kanemaru rolls him up I think it was twice here, but then after the second kick out, eats a spear from Clark, and that sets up for the trophy kill, and Clark Connors wins. He wins 3 in a row. This is a big tournament for Clark Connors so far. He moves to 6, and Kanemaru sits at 4 after upsetting Hiromu and Ishimori back-to-back, but yeah, Clark Connors, again, continues to look really good in this tournament, and they're giving him more wins than I think a lot of people expected. So, yeah, 6 points for Clark Connors, and 3 of these wins are just in a row. Taguchi versus Alex Zane. Oh boy, this was something. Alex Zane, this man him and Ace Austin, it is insane how fast these two have gotten over with the Japanese crowd. These two both feel like such stars, especially from like when they first came into this tournament, like on night one. I feel like Alex Zane, I was fairly critical of his first couple matches in the tournament, but I feel like he's really turned it around. He's showing a lot more personality. He just feels a lot more comfortable. He's showing off his charisma. He feels much better than he did like in the first 2, maybe 3 nights of the tournament. Taguchi plays with Zayn, repeatedly dropping down as Zayn just, they go off the ropes here. Zayn cuts him off with a springboard senton, and he ends the nonsense. The crowd laughs, and he plays up for the crowd, and they react big. Again, like Alex Zayn is very well liked by the people here. And they showed a lot of people had like either shirts or signs or like towels for him. Not as much as Ace Austin, but we'll get to that. Taguchi drops his pants at one point, and Alex Zane counters by, as was described by Chris Carlton, eating his ass. We had ass eating in the tournament as Taguchi screams, and the crowd does too. We have a jumping hip attack from Taguchi. Zane hits a pop-up knee to Taguchi's bum, but the buns steal too much, and he sells it like he just like need a wall. Handspring kick from Zane. He follows up with the cinnamon twist, and Alex Zane wins. Alex Zane moves to 8 points, and Taguchi sits at 2, and I believe that means Taguchi has been mathematically eliminated from the tournament as well. But Alex Zane, somebody who I wasn't really, expecting to have such a big tournament points-wise, but he's doing pretty good. So, if you're an Alex Zane fan, you're probably living it up right now. This would send us to Yo versus Francesco Akira, or Akira, however you want to pronounce his name. With Akira also sitting on the verge of elimination here with 2 points. Right out of the gate, as Yo's making his entrance, Francesco dives out and then launches him into the ring post. Back in the ring, we have a diving crossbody from Francesco for a 2 count. A drop kick from Yo sends him to the floor. Yo's first real offense here, and he lands his plancha to cut off the strong start. Falcon Arrow from Yo gets a 2 count. Francesco then sprints across the ring back and forth for 2 really high velocity corner lariats and follows up with a facebuster on Yo. This was really nice. We have a brutal, this looked nasty, a brutal bridging German from Yo for a 2 count. That was like a really good suplex, but just looked gnarly to take. Yo goes up top with Akira for the suplex Falcon Arrow combo, but Akira fights out and hits his top rope Spanish fly, and he hits the speed fire, he lands it, but he doesn't follow up, and he gets in the corner and starts calling for fireball, and he nails it. Back of the head, the 2 knees. Francesco Akira wins, and he saves himself. Francesco Akira moves to 4 points, and Yo, I believe, sits at 6 following this. So both men still remain in the tournament, but that's a very big win from Francesco, especially with Yo just beating Hiromu the night before. Wheeler Yuta versus El Lindaman. Code of Honor starts the match. The 2 here have a technical start. We trade holds. We get them running the ropes. Lindaman goes for a drop kick, but Yuta hangs onto the ropes as Lindaman just eats it. Yuta scoop slams Lindaman, goes for a senton, and Lindaman gets out of the way, dropping Yuta with a drop kick to the back of the head. That looked nice. Yuta gets hung on the ropes, and Lindaman sends him to the floor with a drop kick before executing the Tope Gun Hero. Again, absolutely just breathtaking move. Every time Lindaman hits this, it's so good. So, we go back in the ring. We get Lindaman just repeatedly going for pins, even just like stacking Yuta up here, but Yuta kicks out of all of them. We have a big rope-assisted kick from Yuta, which sends Lindaman off the turnbuckle and down to the floor, and then diving through the ropes, and Lindaman gets sent into the crowd. Back in the ring, cattle mutilation gets locked in, but Lindaman crawls backwards, getting his foot on the rope for the break. Yuta and Lindaman go at it, running off the ropes and trading hard elbow strikes at each other. It's a really fun spot. Yuta hit his atomic drop and enziguri combo. Lindaman cuts him off with a drop kick and then goes for, I also don't know the name of this, his one-armed over-the-shoulder flip slam, but Yuta gets out and nails Pain Thriller for a 2 count. Repeated elbow strikes from Yuta as he goes for the seatbelt clutch, but Lindaman gets out and lands the German for a 2 count. Tiger suplex end it. Lindaman scores the win. Lindaman moves to 8 points, and Wheeler Yuta sits at 6. I was actually kind of surprised by this. So, not in a bad way, but I thought this was a really fun match between these two, but yeah, it just wasn't really the outcome I was expecting, if I'm being honest. After this, we went on to our next match, which was Taiji Ishimori versus Ace Austin. So the big thing here was that it was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion versus the X Division Champion. Ace Austin coming out here, just very over. Again, lots of people in the crowd with his merchandise, with his sunglasses, with his towels, with signs for him. It's very clear Ace has gotten over with this crowd in a major way. As we get started here with the match, Austin chases Ishimori at ringside, who baits him onto the apron, but Austin low bridges and sends Taiji to the floor. We have a big kick from the apron, with Ace flipping into the ring as he looks for Soaring to Glory, or Sword of Glory, whatever it's called. Ishimori gets out of the way and then gets back in, dumping Ace to the floor before taking one of the corner pads off. Ace fires up with a series of strikes against the ropes, sending Ishimori to the floor and eventually nails Soaring to Glory. Double knees from Ishimori. Ace then gets sent into the exposed turnbuckle, shoulder first, with Ishimori following up with a big shoulder breaker. House of Cards from Ace comes earlier than expected, and he lands the fold, but he can't follow up due to the shoulder damage. And once he does pin him, Ishimori gets his foot on the rope, breaking, I guess, is the first person to get out of the fold in the tournament. Ace goes for Sword of Glory once again, but Ishimori falls on the floor to avert disaster. We have Ace going to the floor and sending Ishimori back in. Once he gets back in, Ishimori then comes to life here. He was kind of just playing possum. He drops Ace with Mystica and locks in the bone lock, but Ace scrambles and gets to the ropes as he forces the break. Both guys have gotten out of each other's finishers. Ace goes for the fold once again, but gets caught and dropped with an inverted Bloody Cross, but he kicks out at 2. Bloody Cross gets attempted again, but Ace gets out with the Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. Mystica gets countered with Ace pinning Ishimori, though it seems both men's shoulders were down. This was a big thing here, as it looked like all 4 shoulders were down, but the call is made, and Ace Austin is the winner. So we have a bit of a controversial finish here, something that could come back up down the line. Ace does pick up the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, but he does eventually toss it over to Ishimori. So it does seem like he does want a challenge at some point. And it was noted during this match by commentary that Scott D'Amore has agreed that Hiromu Takahashi will get an X Division Championship opportunity the next time he's in North America. So that is a bit of breaking news, I suppose. I thought this was really good. Again, Ace is having a very strong tournament. Ishimori is also having a pretty strong tournament, too. I thought these guys had really good chemistry. I thought they told a good story. The near falls in this were really good. And again, we got a surprise victory here with Ace Austin for a lot of people, I think. And Ace Austin is the first person in A Block to make it to double digits. Ace Austin is in the lead in Best of the Super Juniors. He has 10 points. I think he has the most points out of anybody in the tournament, honestly, between both blocks. Let me double check. Yeah, he is. So, kind of shocking, not going to lie. But Taiji Ishimori now sits at 8 points. So, Bushi versus El Desperado. This was, again, I really don't care about Bushi. Bushi takes things quick, going after Desperado's shoulder immediately. Despy slides to the floor, but Bushi takes control with a Hurricane Rana over the ropes. Numero Dos gets locked in center of the ring, but Bushi makes it to the ropes. Catarde Angel gets landed, but as always, just a 2 count. Pinche Loco gets blocked twice. Bushi lands the rewind kick. We have big elbow strikes from Desperado landing, but Bushi comes back with a hard drop kick against the ropes. A jumping codebreaker from Bushi, followed up with a Canadian Destroyer here. Gets a big 2 count as Desperado gets his hand on the ropes. And then the MX lands. And Bushi scores a major upset here, cutting off El Desperado's momentum. And, yeah. I mean, Bushi kind of has to win matches at some point, I guess. So letting him play spoiler here was fine. I would have much rather had like Teton in this position where he's at like 6 points, but it is what it is. So Bushi sits at 6 points, Desperado's at 8. This was a fine match. This is one of the skippable ones, if you ask me. Hiromu Takahashi versus Sho. This would be our semi-main event here. Hiromu goes off the apron with a drop kick. Prior to the match, Sho goes to the presumed entrance curtain for Hiromu, but Hiromu comes out of a different one. Hiromu playing some nice games with this the Murder Machine Sho and the House of Evil antics. Hiromu goes off the apron with a drop kick, but Young Lion Nakashima gets pulled in front of Sho, so he eats it. And then ringside, Sho just goes to work on Hiromu's leg with a chair. Sho does his thing where he just, leaves Hiromu on the outside and goes for the count out. But Hiromu does get back in the ring, and once he does, Sho just once again goes back to work, brutalizing the leg of Hiromu. Eventually, Hiromu gets out of this, and he takes control once they go to ringside again, and he slams Sho against the metal barricade for the stands, and then drops him with a Death Valley driver on the apron. That did not look fun. Hiromu here fires up with a series of big moves as he gets the huge sunset bomb over the top rope, and bombing Sho down onto the floor, and he follows up with a Hiromu bomber back in the ring for a 2 count. He goes for the Hurricane Rana, but Sho holds him and lands the power breaker for a 2 count. Hiromu then locks in his own variant of the snake bite, but Evil comes out to ringside and drags the ref out of the ring while Sho taps out, so the ref doesn't see it. Evil then gets choked out by Hiromu as Sho gets back in, and he nails Hiromu's knee with a series of kicks, and you can hear that something's louder. They never actually showed us what it was, but commentary noted they saw Sho playing with his knee pad while he was out on the outside, so the assumption is he loaded his knee pad, and he just went to town here on Hiromu, and eventually locked in a submission, and Hiromu taps out. Another loss for Hiromu, and another win for Sho. Both men now sit at 6 points. So, yeah. I don't think this was as good as Taguchi versus Sho in terms of entertainment value. But, this is still good. I think Hiromu's very good at selling. And Sho playing like this, just evil heel who's just trying to kill this man, basically. It worked. This wasn't spectacular, and this is not the must-watch match of the show. That would come in the main event, but... it could have been worse. That sends us to our main event. Robbie Eagles versus El Phantasmo. This is one of my most anticipated matches of the tournament, and it absolutely delivered. This is a match of the year contender, 100%. This was fantastic. So, ELP gets sent to the floor here with a huge dive from Eagles. Both guys wipe out in the front row. Eagles goes for sliced bread off the ring post, but Phantasmo catches him and just lawn darts Robbie headfirst into the ring post. Phantasmo gets a chair and drops Eagles headfirst with a DDT on it, and then lays into Eagles in the corner with chops back in the ring, and claws at his back before setting him up in the Tree of Woe, coming in with a basement drop kick, goes back into the corner, and comes in with basically like a hesitation drop kick on Robbie. Who's still hung up. Phantasmo lifts up Eagles and drops him with a stalling brainbuster for a 2 count. We have a huge dive from Phantasmo over the top rope. This looked very like Kenny Omega-esque, like his type of dive. And he takes out Robbie, but as commentary notes, he got the worst of this, just landing like back first on the hardwood floor. But again, the sight of it and the way it was, the way the camera shot was, this was fantastic. Phantasmo starts shouting at the fans to move as he clears out chairs, and he nails Robbie with a kick. ELP climbs up to the top turnbuckle, walks the ropes, and goes big with a moonsault off the ropes, but Robbie moves out of the way, and Phantasmo falls on his ass, and then, how he positioned this, he landed against the metal barricade here. Robbie comes in running with huge double knees right against the metal barricade to ELP. This looked nuts, and the crowd was reacting big for this. We had a drop kick to ELP's knees back in the ring. He locks in the Ron Miller special, but Phantasmo immediately gets to the ropes. Down on both knees, both men exchange strikes. Eagles openly says, "I hate you so much," as they're just beating each other. Robbie goes for a pin with a backslide attempt, but Phantasmo gets out at 2. ELP then rolls him up, but gets caught with the tights, or gets caught, trying to use the tights. UFO gets attempted, but Phantasmo's leg gives out as he gives Robbie the turbo backpack for a 2 count. That got a nice reaction. Robbie then sets up to steal the UFO, but he turns it into the burning hammer, which the crowd went crazy for here. Eagles goes high. He hits this looked rough. A rough version of the Thunder Kiss 86 for a 2 count. It looked like this guy could have broken his head from how he landed. Sudden death from Phantasmo gets only a 2 count as it's announced that they have reached the 20-minute mark. Phantasmo gets CR2 lined up, but Eagles flips through and sits down for a 2 count, following up with a series of big head kicks. We have a Tiger Driver from Robbie for a 2 count, which transitions right into the Ron Miller special. But Phantasmo manages to get to the ropes again. And commentary, again, they really do a good job selling this. That, rather than tap out to save his tournament, Phantasmo was willing to, lose his leg because of how much he hates Robbie. So I thought, again, commentary, Chris and Kevin are brilliant together, but I thought they really did a good job of explaining what the importance of this match was for both guys. ELP gets Robbie on his shoulders in the fireman's carry position, goes up to the second rope and hits a massive neck breaker off the second rope. CR2 lands from Phantasmo, but he can't cover in time with his leg. He then covers Robbie, and Robbie kicks out of the CR2, and Corkin goes wild here. We have a Poison Rana from Robbie, and this looks brutal. And he comes down 450 across the back of Phantasmo's legs, locks in the Ron Miller special, and Phantasmo can't do it anymore. He taps out. Whew. This was just a breathtaking match to watch. These two could wrestle all day, every day, and I would be so happy. The time's going to come sooner rather than later, possibly even this summer, where Phantasmo moves up into the heavyweight division, and I'll be more than excited for the guy. I'm a huge El Phantasmo fan. I have multiple pieces of merch for the guy. He's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. I will miss him wrestling some of these juniors, but my God, he's so damn good. I was a very big fan of this. Definitely my match of the tournament so far, and one of the best matches of the year. Phantasmo gets stopped at 8 points here, and Robbie Eagles moves up to 6 points. So, still in the tournament. This was, again, just absolutely a wonderful, wonderful sight to see here. As for our predictions, for Night 9, the scores that we finished with are Angelo got 1 match correct, Joey got 3, Rob and Ryan got 4, and I got 6. So our overall scores right now for the predictions challenge for Best of the Super Juniors. Angelo sits at 19 points in last place. Rob in 4th with 27. Joey in 3rd with 28. Tied for 2nd. Ryan and Joey both have 28. And I am in the lead with 30. So some more point changes coming off of this night. As for the actual Best of the Super Junior standings, we can go over those real quickly before, previewing night 11? Or night 10, sorry. Okay, so Ace Austin leads A block with 10 points. In second place, we have a tie with Taiji Ishimori and Alex Zane at 8 points. Yo Sho and Hiromu Takahashi and Clark Connors are all tied with 6 points. Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Francesco Akira have 4 points still in the tournament, and eliminated in A block, Ryusuke Taguchi sits at 2 points. B block, our leaders are El Phantasmo, El Desperado, and El Lindemann, all with 8 points. Doki, Wheeler Yuta, TJP, Bushi, and Robbie Eagles sit at 6 points. Master Wato has 4, and Teton has 2, also mathematically eliminated. Our next night here, where are we at? Night 10. The card for Night 10, we have Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Francesco Akira, Clark Connors versus Taiji Ishimori, Teton versus Bushi, Taguchi versus Yo, Ace Austin versus Sho, Master Wato versus Wheeler Yuta, TJP versus El Phantasmo, Robbie Eagles versus El Lindemann, Hiromu Takahashi versus Alex Zane, and El Desperado versus Doki. So that is the breakdown for Night 10, and that is our full review for Night 9 of the New Japan Best of the Super Juniors tournament. Be sure to leave a comment if you're on YouTube. Let us know what you enjoyed from the show, what you're looking forward to for the rest of the tournament, who your MVPs are, favorite matches, whatever you want to do, comment. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you're on YouTube. If you're on Apple or Spotify listening to this, leave a review. If you're on Spotify, we also sometimes have polls on our episodes, so feel free to, fill those out. We appreciate it. If you're enjoying the content we have, feel free to share it with your friends, your family, anybody who you think might like our show. We appreciate it. And until next time, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.